All right. Hello, everybody. Hope you all are doing well. This is DFS Army's NFL pre-lock show. We are here to answer your questions, walk through the slate, and really just kind of talk to you all about what our game plan is before Week 14 kicks off. My voice is apparently going away a little bit. Wasn't really expecting that, but it's going to be a good one. Plenty of games on this slate. Tattoo, you're back. You were gone last week. How are you feeling, man?
Well, I wish I could say I'm feeling better from then, but I'm not feeling better from last night. So.
Hey, if it's not the sickness, it's the beer, right?
Yeah, sure. It was beer.
Oh, okay. Shouldn't have judged. Burns, always good to have you on here. I know you've been on a heater. You've been killing it. How are you feeling about this slate?
It's an interesting slate today. I like it a decent bit. There's spots that we can obviously fade that just don't make a lot of sense. And then there's spots where I think you can attack and that do, on the surface may not make sense, but when you dig deep into them, they make a lot of sense.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Hey, I'll take that. It sounds like a W. And then Razzle Dazzle. I know you're always here with the magic. Are you feeling better than Tattoo? Are you more sober this morning?
I am always sober. I don't know.
Are you with Burns, though? You like the slate a good amount?
I mean, I like it. I feel something towards it. I don't know what that exact feeling is. But, I mean, Cam Ward can't hurt me today, so I guess that's
true. We don't have to worry about him anymore. He's out of our lives. Nice. All right. Well, we'll start off with Carlos. Good to see you. Man, it was a fun week. I appreciate that. Probably part of why my voice is gone right now. But you're right. Let's get back on track. Jump into the important stuff. Single entry and cash quarterbacks. Really just overall would love to get a little bit more insight on how y'all are thinking about the quarterback position on this slate. Tattoo, I'll start with you. Who's popping?
Well, I was going to two comments real quick.
Uh-oh.
Yes, the Oilers went off last night. That was beautiful. And, yeah, I do really like Tyler Warren today.
Okay.
So, in general, who's popping, or like we start with quarterbacks?
Yeah, quarterbacks, like who's really standing out for you? Really kind of highlight single entry quarterbacks, but if anyone else is standing out, would love to kind of get your perspective on the position as a whole too.
Started last night with 11 quarterbacks in my pool.
All right.
And I've got it down to 5.
All right, nice. Okay.
I guess probably Josh Allen is your single entry quarterback, but I really am in love with Joe Burrow today.
Nice. And so Burrow, is he your single entry quarterback, or who was it? Did I miss it?
Josh Allen probably.
Yeah.
But in my 150, I have over 30% Burrow. So.
Nice. So balancing it out. Burns, where are you at? How are you thinking about quarterbacks?
Yeah. So Allen makes an intriguing case at the top of the salary range for single entry today. Then you got some that are at the lower price range. Like you got Tyrod Taylor at 4,900. You got guys that are in the middling salary points, like Jordan Love. You also got Joe Burrow in the 6s, the upper 6s, and then you got Baker Mayfield in the 5s, and then you got Jacoby Brissett in the 5s. All these guys make viable single entry quarterback today. It's really just deciding which one you want to run, and from there how you want to build around them. Obviously, you're going to stack them, but how do you want to stack them? How do you want to go about it? So, Brissett is interesting today because we got some clarity on their offense to a certain degree, with Michael Wilson and Trey McBride that are going to suck up probably the bulk of the targets here. They really don't have a run game, so they got to pass and pass and pass. And
which they always do.
Yeah, and so this is something that is going to be an interesting game. I just want to see how the Rams look on the road today. They've been fine, but last week they weren't so good on the road. But this is a divisional matchup, so we'll see how they go there. But yeah, so I don't mind those quarterbacks today in single entry. I think they're all viable.
Nice. And then, Raz, where are you at, man?
I mean, for me, it's at the top for single entry is going to be Jacoby. I'm just every week as a starter, 20 plus DK points. Like, why overthink it? I'm just not going to. I will gladly take the 2K savings off of Josh Allen. Just because, Allen fails far more often than you like to see from a guy that's, the most expensive quarterback on most slates that he's on. So I'll just play Jacoby, and I'll live with it. I do think, Tyrod Taylor again, it's very similar to, me wanting to jam in Tyrod triple stacks previously. It feels like the same thing again. So I don't know, I'm looking at our simulation domination run, and is it bad that the top 4 overall quarterback in terms of percentage and showing up in the top 10% are all guys that I'm fading? Is that a good thing? Because now I'm starting to second guess myself.
Man, I haven't studied that tool enough to give you a for sure answer, but I don't love that. It doesn't seem like the best thing.
I mean, here are the names. It's Jaden Daniels, it's JJ McCarthy, it's Trevor Lawrence, and it's Bo Nix. Those are the top 4 in terms of percentage showing up in the top 10 at the quarterback position.
Yeah.
I don't want to play Jaden Daniels coming off of his injury issues. And even before being injured, he looked mediocre. I don't really want to play him.
I'm with you.
I still respect the Vikings defense enough. Even if the Vikings offense is trash, their defense is still legit. So, and then obviously Vikings offense being trash, why is JJ McCarthy popping all of a sudden? That I don't understand it. And then, Bo Nix on the road doesn't feel great ever, and Trevor Lawrence in rain doesn't feel great either. So, I don't know.
No, I'm with you. I'm not playing Daniels. That's just going to be a hard pass for me. But the other 3, I can at least understand somewhat. But I don't think you're crazy for fading them. I think those are more like GPP type of plays. Chuckson Howen, I appreciate the super chat. He said, like Teddy Pendergrass, will Jordan bring another Love TKO in Green Bay, or will Caleb close the door on the Packers playoff hopes? Burns, what are your thoughts here? I know you mentioned having some interest in Jordan Love, but you didn't mention Caleb.
Yeah, I won't be playing Caleb today. I just like the ancillary pieces. I just don't have to have him with those ancillary pieces. So, and they're all cheap. I mean, you got Luther Burden at 3,800, Colson Loveland at 3,200. Then you got maybe a guy that's could actually have a fairly competent game in Olamide Zacchaeus at 3K. So all these guys are all viable one-offs. I mean, Luther Burden is the best of all of them in terms of what he can do and what he can produce from a fantasy perspective. But I'm not going to have any Caleb. I just don't like his efficiency on the road. He's slightly better at home, and that's where I prefer him, is at home. But on the road, his efficiency metrics are just not very good. And I'll go and I'll touch on Trevor Lawrence and the other guys there. Trevor Lawrence, efficiency-wise at home, if you believe in efficiency metrics when you look at the quarterbacks like I do, it's really bad for Trevor Lawrence. He's got a QBR of 75 at home, which is really, really bad. And then, when you look at the other guys that are popping in the sim model, Jaden Daniels, obviously, you know, he's coming off an injury, and that's acceptable. And, you know, to have that desire to not want to play him, and I'm not playing him because certain Vegas metrics, and I just don't think he can actually get it done today at the ownership that he's going to be encapsulating today.
Yep.
So when you look at 9% projected here, you're looking at 15% in the Millie Maker, roughly about there. So he may come under. I mean, he could potentially come under in the Millie Maker, but with all honesty, I think if you have just Terry McLaurin in this, I think you're fine and you're just acceptable there. And then the other quarterback was JJ McCarthy. Absolutely not. I mean, JJ McCarthy has been the epitome of a guy that gets high owned because he came out of college and he did really well in college. And Tattoo, I'm not saying he was a bad quarterback in Michigan. He was a good quarterback in Michigan, but he's got fundamental issues in his throwing mechanics, and it's been actually showcased on NFL channels that his throwing mechanics are really bad. Yeah. He opens up way too quickly on the front side, which forces him to actually throw the ball errantly like he has. He overthrows his intended receivers. He underthrows them because he's opening up too quickly on the front side. It's something that they really have to work hard with him in the offseason. So that's just my take on JJ McCarthy. And, you know, when you have guys that are cheap on the Minnesota side, they're cheap for a reason because their quarterback can't get them the football.
Yeah. And I don't disagree. The only thing is I will play JJ today because the Commanders are almost equally fundamentally bad and slow, where it wouldn't shock me if JJ gets a little lucky if he decides to sling it today. But he is an awful quarterback. So, no, that's just factual.
He's great at handing it off.
Yeah, they could definitely hand it off in the situation too. Washington's linebackers are dirt slow, and so I don't think attacking the running game is a bad plan either. JP83 said, "Can someone please get me off the Raiders defense?" I'm just saying, last time they played Denver, they were awful, and now they're cheapest defense on the slate. Raz, any interest for you in the Raiders defense, or are you able to talk them off of them?
I unfortunately have interest in the Raiders defense. It's just me playing into Knicks on the road. That's really it. Because I'd much rather play them than the Bengals. I do have a little interest in the Cardinals down there too, since they're at home.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's playing the Raiders, or you're spending up higher, right? Like, you know, 2,700 plus probably. I mean, maybe the Jets defense, but otherwise it's up to the Jaguars, you know, Washington, Tennessee, that sort of thing. So it's a pretty decent price gap from a defensive standpoint. So I think you're just going to play the Raiders some. I mean, I think you limit their percentage because they will show up quite a bit because they are, you know, the cheapest defense. Yeah. But I think you just play them. Okay.
And we'll get to defenses in more detail a little bit later in the show, but we've gotten a few questions talking about Allen or Cook, or Allen and Cook. Burns, we were talking a little bit beforehand, and I'm sure you probably talked about it on Tactics. Do you like Allen stacked with Cook, or what's your thought process on Cook here?
I mean, it is the most viable stack on the Buffalo side. It's honestly, the wide receivers are going to get shut down today. Cincinnati's defense is actually pretty decent against the wide receiving position. And if they don't get shut down, the one guy that I think could potentially have run today, but I mean, it could snow up there, so we'll see. But the one guy that could potentially have run, and it's not going to be Khalil Shakir for me, it's Terrell Shavers. Tampa Bay came into the Buffalo 3 weeks ago now, and they virtually have nearly identical coverage schemes as the Bengals do, and their shell coverages, their overall coverages as well. They run about the same zone coverages, and so in percentage of utilization in those. And the last game that Terrell Shavers was at home, he had 19.8 DraftKings points. And I'm not telling you to play him, like put him in your lineups and then, lock him in or have him at, anything more than 1%. I mean, this guy is going to fail 99.9+%. So
Okay.
I'm talking about that one time, like you put him in a lineup with Allen, you stack him with Allen in one lineup, and potentially he could go off.
Mhm.
And it wouldn't kill your lineup if he fails. Like if he gets 3 points at 3K, it's not a failure by a lot. I mean, it's like it's 1x. Yeah, it's a failure that way, but it's not a failure in terms of like I get 1.4 out of a 6,500 guy. So we're kind of looking at, you gotta basically look at it and weigh the scales on it, because if it allows you to get up to Trey McBride versus a lower salaried tight end, then it makes a lot of sense, because Trey McBride can actually get you 25 to 30 points. He's done it a number of times, in this year. So yeah, I mean, it's an interesting spot, and a lot of people go with Heel Shakir, which is viable, but and then Dalton Kincaid couldn't mess everything up with him coming back. So
Yeah, it's the dart throw strategy, which studs and duds I've always had a little bit of a crush on. It's helped me win some DFS tournaments, so I don't hate taking a shot on someone who has very low ownership, but we all know how risky playing Bills receivers are, but there's definitely some upside there. Don't hate that. All right, let's talk a little bit more about the running back position today. And Burns, I'll go right back to you on this. Who's standing out? How are you kind of shaping lineups around the running backs on this slate?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of interesting chalk formulation here. Obviously, you got two really good plays up top, 3, 4 actually up top with Cook, Achane, Jacobs, Judkins, all for very good reasons. And then, about 6 down, I just don't understand the chalk here. Ashton Genty, I just don't understand it. Denver Broncos defensive front is they're pretty good. It's not somebody that I want to. It's not a defense that I want to, say, oh my gosh, I'm going to play the running back against them. It's just not a defense that I want to do it against. So I don't understand that chalk, but and I've gotten questions on KW3, and he's fine. He's Atlanta's not that great of a defense against the run. They're better against the pass, so I understand it. But he's in a timeshare. It's almost equal timeshare. So I not really understanding that, because when I look further down below him in terms of ownership, I like the guys below him way more. Like I like Bucky Irving at significantly lower ownership. And then you got, Jonathan Taylor, who is like sub, he's about 10%. He's probably going to come in lower than that. And it's just interesting. Yeah, Jacksonville has had a stout defense this year against the run. And Jonathan Taylor is just, he's a good running back. So he could actually pop, and his TD props are pretty good today. So that being said, these guys, I got a really tight pool. It's like nine running backs. As tight as it's been in a long time. So, and I just think all 9 could actually have a really good day. And then if somebody pops that's outside of it, so be it. It can't be on everybody.
Exactly. And honestly, like the way I think about DFS is I'm just waiting for my big win. And usually like I have like 2 to 3 of those, and then that covers the rest of the season. I don't have to win every week, even though it's been a good year. So hopefully we can keep it up.
Well, yeah, I mean, I get questions like, why aren't you on this guy? Why aren't you on that guy? I'm like, I can't be on everybody. Yeah. I mean, I gotta, the metrics, those like once you take the metrics into place, like Vegas metrics, that cuts out a bunch of players. And then you take in the defensive metrics, that's going to cut out another, and then et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so it's like, I can't be on everybody, but let me tell you, the ones that I'm on, they're probably going to hit. So
more often than not. All right, let's see. What about you, Tattoo? How are you seeing running backs?
I have an even tighter pool of 7 running backs. I am way over on Cook and Achane.
Nice.
My 2 favorites. Then I'm double the field on Brees Hall and Judkins and Harvey and Irving and field weight with Josh Jacobs. But I don't know. I think Achane is probably my favorite running back.
I get it. Where are you at, Raz?
Well, let's see. Burns has got 9 guys. Tattoo's got 7.
Yeah, 25.
I'm going to play 5% of everybody. Okay. No, I mean, I'm kind of similar. You know, the more that I look at everything, the more that I think like Bucky Irvin's probably the top like GPP play because he's going to get overlooked for Jacobs. He's definitely going to be overlooked for James Cook and Achane. Like people are just kind of forgetting about him, and he came back after his long absence and still touched the ball 19 times. So he feels like just that guy that gets overlooked enough compared to the rest. And there's a route for him to just being the highest raw point scorer at the position. I'm definitely going to play Bijan too. Like Bijan at home, far better than Bijan on the road. Monster game last week with Kirk Cousins, which was one of the biggest issues we had, you know, previously. So, but yeah, I mean, I think the Genty chalk is just coming from game script because he has 8 targets in 3 straight weeks, 6+ catches in all 3 weeks. So, like, they just don't have any wide receivers. Like, that's the biggest thing for the Raiders. So, it's just Bowers and Genty in the passing game at this point.
Yeah.
Not that I trust it enough, but, like, I can see that's why. You know, I think my favorite non-stud running back play is going to be RJ Harvey in that game. He does have to score a touchdown just because he's not getting the full allotment of carries out of the backfield. You know, like I think he's topped out at like 13 or so without Dobbins, but still, I just love that spot for him to score a touchdown. The 2 other guys that I'm going to play just because I'm playing so heavy in that game is going to be Knight and Michael Carter. They're throwing a ton to the running backs, and like I'm gonna mention it multiple times. Like they just don't have any wide receivers healthy outside of Michael Wilson. Like Knight over the last 4 weeks has 16 targets, and Carter has like 16 over the last 3 weeks. So like they're just using both. And since I'm going to be on that game quite a bit with Brissett, like it just makes sense to have those guys in my pool.
Yeah, fair. I think the only quarterback y'all didn't mention that I like, or maybe you didn't, I just didn't hear it, is Derrick Henry. Steelers are missing their defensive tackle, Harmon, once again. I love being over on Henry, and I love that his ownership is so low, too. I see Hall is chalky once again, faded that last week. Dolphins are so bad. I'm not going to completely fade him. I still just don't love his touchdown equity, but we'll see what happens here. And then I liked all the other calls, and I'm with you. I just wish Genty wasn't chalky. He's just always chalky these days, and it is because of the targets, but I'm never going to be over on a guy like Genty just because he is really struggling. It's really his offensive line, I think, more than him, but we'll see what happens there. Bobby, I saw a question from you. Let me see. Looking at Shug from for my Millie Lotto ticket. Any of you like Shug? And do you like a quarterback better? Looks like you're aligned with Burns. Looking at Shavers a little bit with Allen. Curious, Burns, I think you already mentioned the Saints quarterback a good amount. You like him, or am I misunderstanding that?
I like his salary.
Yeah.
He allows you to do a lot with his salary, especially if you're stacking him with Devon Vele, because it's a very low salaried stack. I think you may even hit about $8,200 in the stack with those two together, maybe 83. So I mean, from that perspective, and he's better on the road than he has been at home in his short tenure within the NFL this year. And the fact that Tampa Bay is actually, when you look at them from a defensive standpoint against the pass, they're just a middling defense at best. They're just not that great. And so I could see him doing decently. Where I think he's going to land is probably about 17 to 19. Okay. That's where I'm at, projecting him at. So at 4,600, if I get him at 17 to 19, he's not a single entry type of quarterback for me. He's more of a millie maker type play.
Yeah.
Because then I can build a pretty decent lineup around him with really good running backs and potentially one of the higher salaried wide receivers or potentially McBride. So it makes a lot of sense for him just because of that. And it's really why Tyrod makes sense too, because he's at 4,900. And then you add him with like Mechie or Adonai Mitchell, and you got, yourselves around 92 to 9,500. So you got a lot of salary to play with there. So that's kind of why I think Show is decent, or Shug, whatever his last name is. So
one of those.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, that makes sense. And I didn't X him out of my pool. He's shown up slightly over the field, and I'm trying to find a way to be okay with that. It really is his price tag, and that's it. Look outside your window. Appreciate the super chat. He said, "Let's fucking go." It's my favorite people. You can say fuck on YouTube, right? I don't know. I whispered it because I wasn't really sure, but
pretty sure you can say fuck.
Yeah, we'll see if we get demonetized on this one. Anyway, thank you for the super chat. I think that might help balance it all out. Top 2 stacks from each of you, and how do you guys feel about 4 receivers this week? Once again, thank you for keeping us on track here, talking about receivers and talking about stacks as well. Raz, I'll start with you. How are you seeing things here?
Well, we'll just go with the top 2 stacks for me right away. Like, I'll take the easy one out of play for everybody in the Brissett Michael Wilson combination.
Yeah.
Like, that's just the default one that I think everybody should be relying on. My second favorite one, unfortunately don't feel like I have one. I mean, probably Burrow Chase for the upside, right? Like, it could easily be the Shuck Vele. But, for me, Shuck is going to be similar to Tyrod in that, like, it's going to be a double stack if I'm using him, like Vele and Jawan Johnson. That super cheap triple, just like the Tyrod Taylor triple was with Mechie and Adonai Mitchell. It's the same thinking in that for me. But, yeah, I mean, I think it's Burrow and Chase is my second favorite. Otherwise it's Stafford with either guy, I guess.
Yeah.
Kind of where I'm at.
Burns, what about you? Where are you at with top stacks?
Yeah, so, I think the one exactly that Raz said at the start was Brissett and Wilson. I mean, that's a really good stack. I mean, Wilson is projecting really, really well from a props projection standpoint. So I think that is a really good stack. It comes in about 11.8, maybe 11.6, and that's really good. Maybe I'm off by 1,000, but it's still good.
Yeah.
And then you look at other stacks. Honestly, like I think there are a lot of good stacks. I think Burrow has great stacking capabilities with Chase. Obviously, that's his number one dude. Yeah. But T. Higgins is also a guy that could pop in this game as well. And, it's just going to depend on how they utilize, their offensive scheme against Buffalo today. But both of them in play with Chase or Burrow, sorry. But yeah, I mean, like, those are great stacks. And then, Baker, he could be stacked. I know he's got the AC joint on his non-throwing arm. but he can be stacked with Godwin. He can be stacked with Emeka, obviously. And then, I don't even mind him with Bucky Irving too. So, I mean, these are just ways I would go about it with Baker, and then, Show or Shug, whatever his name is, he's fine. He's fine stacked with Valet and Jawan. And then don't forget about Olave. Olave's just gotten the volume, and he can continue to get volume and, put up a middling teen score, which isn't going to really get it done, but, it could be fine in like lower entry GPPs.
Mm-hmm. Then, Tattoo, where are you at here, man? Anything different?
Favorite two are Burrow with Chase and Higgins, or just Chase if we're just doing that, and Jordan Love and Watson.
Nice. All right. And then people are talking about Burden and Almadi Zacchaeus. Curious to know how y'all are treating this situation. If you like these guys with Rome out, Tattoo, how much is too much here?
Let me get rid of this because I was just looking at how much I had Burden and Zacchaeus stuck together.
Yeah.
I have with the Burden, I have double the field, and that makes me uncomfortable, really.
Mm-hmm.
And Zacchaeus, I have 9%, which, I mean, I guess I'm okay with that.
Okay. What about you, Raz? How are you feeling about this situation?
I kind of wrote it up for the afternoon only slate that like everybody wants to jump on Burden. I think Zacchaeus is the better GPP play because of that. They're different roles. Like Zacchaeus is just going to catch a bunch of passes, really. Burden's going to be just big plays. But for me, with everybody wanting to play Burden, because, I mean, name value, big play upside, Zacchaeus has done it with Caleb to start the year. Like, he hasn't been there the last few weeks. So, like, I'm just preferring Zacchaeus and even Colson Loveland over Burden a little bit. I mean, I'm playing Burden, but I'm going to have, like, Burden and Zacchaeus more of a 1-to-1 split rather than, a big gap in ownership between the two.
Nice. And then Burns, this is a big one. I think a lot of people are wondering about this situation. Are you seeing it the same way, or are you treating it differently?
Yeah, I think both are very viable. I do agree with Raz here that Olamide may actually be the better tournament pivot, especially at lower salary and lower ownership. It wouldn't surprise me to see Burden in the upper teens to low 20s in ownership today. He's being talked about across the industry as a massive player in this one.
Yeah.
And so just these two guys alone, Olamide makes sense from a tournament perspective if I want to do pivoting. But I think another pivot in this game on the Chicago side is DJ Moore, and no one's really talking about him at all.
Yep.
And so he makes good sense as well. And it's just what it is, they're just low salaried plays. And, Burden has got the metrics of a player that is better than the other two. But, in one day DFS, anybody can pop. So it's just what it is. And we just have to, we have to spread our coverages is all.
Yeah. And the tough part here is basically what you're saying is all of them are underpriced for the situation they're in, but that doesn't mean that they're going to overperform their value just
Correct.
because they are underpriced. And I'm with you. I'm over on all of these guys just because it's easy to do that, and they're too cheap.
Yeah, and Green Bay is no joke. I mean, they're an excellent defense. They're at home. So each one of these guys has a significant fail rate because of it. So it's just what it is.
Yep.
So tread with caution, but you can't always. You have to put some risk on the table as well.
Yeah. And a 3,800 risk is not like there's definitely way worse risk out there.
Right.
The King Raheem said, will Pitts be owned? I like picking on Seattle of tight ends, but Pitts is scary. Hell yeah, he is. But he is seeing a good amount of ownership. He's the chalkiest tight end on the slate. Burns, I'll go right back to you on this. How do you feel about Pitts? But even more broadly, how do you feel about the tight ends on this slate?
Yeah, so Pitts is his ownership is stratospheric right now. So it's kind of it's concerning with him. When he is owned like this, he tends to not perform to the expectations that we want him to perform at. And it's really kind of what I'm debating on single entry contests with him is, is it worth it? And so far I'm landing on yes, he's worth it in single entry, especially the single entries that I play. And if I'm playing like lower dollar single entries with a lot of entrants in it, I am not playing him. But the level of entries that I'm playing in single entry, he is viable. But in Millie Makers, I probably will meet the field with him at 20%, 15 to 20%. I think he comes in between there. I'll just meet the field. He's a good play. We don't have Drake London in this one. And Mooney has been just a guy. He's not even been producing at a level that is adequate. Yeah. And so Pitts is starting to become a relevant piece in this offense without Drake London in this. And then, Kirk Cousins is actually favoring him more and more each week. But then on the whole, as a tight ends, I think it's a 4K, roughly about the 38 and above range for me. Yes, okay. I do have a couple that are below that I believe you have to kind of offset some of the higher salaried wide receivers and running backs, so they make sense. Like your Isaiah Likely's, Colston Loveland esque guys. So those guys make sense from a salary perspective, and their matchups are pretty decent too. But when we look at fours and above, Juwan Johnson is a great play today. You got Mark Andrews. He's a viable play today. And then as we get further up into the salary range, Tyler Warren is an excellent play today, as well as Brock Bowers. And, I will always go to Trey McBride. MCB is awesome. I mean, he's a target hound. And, the way I was debating this slate a little bit earlier is when I was hand building lineups. Do I go with MCB or do I go with Jamar? Because they're essentially the same salary point. And so I was leaning more towards MCB than Jamar in a lot of hand build lineups because of the fact that he has a 30+% target rate in the red zone, and he has a 25+% rate target rate outside of the red zone. He is an absolute volume animal. And so Jamar may not get it done today. It might be a T game. I don't know. It's going to be that's just the NFL. You never know what's going to happen. So I have to spread my basis a lot. So that's why I'm doing that.
Okay. Raz, how are you thinking about tight ends and starting off with Pitts?
I mean, I love Pitts. I wasn't expecting to see him pop as much, before. Like today's the first time I looked at the DS and projected ownership and all that. Okay. I try to leave that off, as I do my own research and do notes before the, slate. So, yeah, I'm just always going to play Pitts when they're missing somebody, like Drake. If they were going to be without Bijan, like there's targets that have to go somewhere, and like he's just more trustworthy than David Sills and Drummond and even Mooney at this point. So I have no problem, even exceeding projected ownership. Most of what everybody that Burns said are guys that I'm playing, like they're guys that I'm not playing, like a Zach Ertz that I've seen a lot of people talk about.
Okay.
Do
you have a reason? I'm curious.
Well, it's because I'm off Jaden Daniels for one.
Yeah.
Two, like he's 4,500. Like, does Ertz really have upside at this? Like, are you chasing last week where they're playing from behind, trying to catch up? And like, I'm just not going that route. Mark Andrews interests me a little bit just because he got that extension and he's at home. So like, there's always these random Mark Andrews 2-touchdown games. But I mean, I'm probably just paying down at tight end, aside from McBride. Tyler Warren, sure, but I just don't like the weather for passing, the rain, the wet, all that stuff, especially with two quarterbacks that can turn the ball over a lot. Like, it just doesn't seem like it fits a Daniel Jones, Trevor Lawrence combination. But the one tight end that I'm going to bring up too, because I didn't hear him talk about Colby Parkinson.
Okay.
Rams just target tight ends. Like, they generally had spread it out amongst three guys, but now without one of them, Parkinson has a touchdown in 3 out of the last 4 weeks or 4 out of the last 5. I don't remember what it was off the top of my head, but him at 3,100, I actually like him a little bit more than AJ Barner. A lot of people are talking about Barner. Atlanta's been pretty good against the tight end position, so I don't think Barner's some smash in that spot. I think I'd rather play Parkinson. I already talked about Loveland on how, same price point where I like him a little bit more than Burden and Zacchaeus. And then my what am I drinking play of the day, following Cam Ward previously, Elijah Higgins for Arizona.
Here we go.
So Arizona's just dealing with all these wide receiver injuries, right?
True.
MHJ is out. Dortch went on IR. Xavier Weaver is unlikely to play. Say Jones is on IR. Fajoko's on IR. Their number 2 wide receiver is Andre Baccalia. 1 target in 3 weeks that he's been active.
Yeah, I was like, who is that? And you had to tell me. Thank you.
They do have Trent Sherfield bounced around a little bit, a guy we've heard of before, but hasn't seen a target since week 5 when he was on Denver. This leads me to believe that Arizona is much more likely to go to 2 tight end sets a lot today. And Elijah Higgins isn't exactly somebody who's completely random. He has multiple targets in 4 out of the last 5 weeks. Multiple catches in 4 out of the last 5 weeks. So, with a defense that, has a pretty strong coaching staff in the Rams, not that they're going to take McBride away, but at least in the red zone, if you eliminate McBride, that's a huge hit to the passing game. I think Higgins is somebody that if he finished with 4 catches for 45 yards and a touchdown, I would not be shocked at all at the end of the day. And he's just 2,500. So I am going to hang on Elijah Higgins at min price, basically as like the de facto wide receiver 3 in that offense behind Wilson and McBride.
I love it, man. I wasn't on it, but I love it. All right, Raz, anyone standing out for you or any additional thoughts here with tight ends?
You mean Tattoo?
Is this another fat
Tattoo?
guys all look the same?
Yeah. I'm recovering. Yeah.
Fat white guy. Let me pick on him.
No. That's not why.
Kyle Pitts, I agree. There with like Burns in your smaller, 3-man hundos and under. I can, use them. But I am significantly under the field in my 150. I only have about 5%. Don't like them. Just don't like them.
Fair.
Tyler Warren, as nobody is shocked, is my favorite. And I like Brenton Strange And ironically, it's odd. I like the 2 tight ends from that bad weather game.
Okay.
Danny Dimes, I think, has a broken fibula, so he's not running around too much.
True.
So maybe he kind of relies on Warren some. I like Juwan Johnson, and I have a good amount of Darren Waller.
I'm going
You
to
said
add
that
one
like
more
you were
thing.
nervous.
I'm going to add one more things on my Higgins play.
Okay.
Just because Tattoo brought up Darren Waller too. Going to our simulation domination numbers for the run, Elijah Higgins is showing up in the top 10% more than Zach Ertz, Dawson Knox, Darren Waller, Dalton Kincaid. More than, guys that people are playing on this slate. So that, like, I don't know if it just kind of reaffirms, the notes that I made for the afternoon slate and why I even dug into Higgins more. But to see that show up, matching what I found, like, it just makes it easier for me to play Elijah Higgins.
You already had me convinced. Now, how much do I need, Raz? How much do I need?
I mean, I think I wrote that I might end up with like 8 to 10%. Like, I feel like you probably only need, 3 to 5.
Yeah, I have 5 right now.
But I do think like I'm probably going to be around the 10% range overall. Probably
like
even higher on the afternoon only, but afternoon only I can get away with a 3-game slate playing double tight end and playing McBride and Higgins together. So that's automatically going to boost my percentages. Yeah.
Long Wing Gunner is the tight end for the Titans. One of the two. Okongwu's the other one. Let's see. There were quite a few questions about the Browns today. If they're worth paying up for on this slate. Tattoo, it looks like they're pretty chalky, but they're going up against Cam Ward. Are you liking the Browns tonight or today?
Yeah, they're probably, I believe, they're right up there as one of my top defenses. I have 27% of them.
Okay.
So,
who else do you like at the defense position?
Commanders, Packers. They're my biggest. They're all over 20%. Then I have some Bucks, Broncos, Colts, and Ravens mixed in.
Nice. Raz, what about you? Any defenses standing out?
I mean, I think I'm going to play both defenses in that Jacksonville-Indianapolis game. Turnover-prone quarterbacks with rain, like it just feels decent. Plus, running backs that can fumble too. Like Jonathan Taylor has had a history of fumble issues, going back to college even. So I think those defenses in that game kind of get overlooked a little bit. So that's kind of where I'm going. I mean, the Browns did make my main build as of right now.
Okay.
I don't love spending $3,700 at defense for a main build, but Cam Ward.
Yeah, I mean, God, Myles Garrett's been so great this year. All right, Burns, last but not least, who do you like? Who does the Shark Labs like?
Yeah, number one defense on the board is going to be the Ravens today for me. They're popping in my model like crazy. Obviously, the Browns are in a fantastic spot. Cam Ward on the road, he gives up sack percentage of like 10.4%, which is the highest of any quarterback on the entire slate, whether they're home or away. So, the Browns are highly viable today. Also, the Denver Broncos going into Las Vegas are viable today. Geno, he has a high sack rate. He has a high interception rate of 6+% both. And then, a lot of people are going to be going to the Commanders today. I like them more for cash and single entry than I do for large field GPPs because of the fact that, they will see ownership today. But a lot of people like them as well. I think Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be a defense that is lower owned that can pop today as well. And then, Miami on the road is fine. All the favorites are perfectly acceptable. Just, check mark them. All the favorites home and away, with more lean towards the home favorites than the away. But yes, they're all viable. And then the middling salary range, Green Bay may present the best matchup at home. They get after it at home. And so I like them a good bit. And then if I had to pick a non-favored defense, I have two underdog defenses. The Jets do look, acceptable here. And then on the other side of the Green Bay game, I don't mind the Chicago Bears either at supremely low salary play.
Nice. All right. Now we'll kind of wrap up, just kind of touching on everyone's favorite sneaky low-owned plays. Even if you touched on them already, nothing wrong with re-emphasizing them, because y'all have definitely not been shying away from low ownership on this show. So, Tattoo, I'll start with you. Who are some of your favorite sneaky plays and your favorite ATD prop?
I could say Joe Burrow is only 3% owned, but
It counts. Most quarterbacks count at this point.
Yeah. But if I had to throw another one in, I don't know who it would be. Jordan Love. Like I said, they're all
pretty low owned.
Yeah. Running backs, I didn't really go too low owned with any of mine.
Yeah.
But for some odd reason, just looking through here, where'd he go? Pittsburgh. Jalen Warren, for some odd reason, just is a crazy play.
All right.
And then I don't like it, but Chase Brown.
I love that.
Maybe,
Why don't you like it? I think I love Chase Brown today. Why don't you like him?
He scares me.
Yeah, that's fair. He should scare you. But the ownership, for me, as long as the ownership is low, I'm not really scared. It's more so when they're chalky, where I'm like, I don't like it anymore.
Wide receiver. Let me go down here. I love T. Higgins, only 6-7%.
Nice.
And he'd probably be my favorite. We touched on a lot of the other guys here. Tight end, probably Gunnar Helm.
Gunnar. All right.
I might change that.
Okay. If you change your mind, just let us know.
Darren Waller.
Waller, yeah. Waller counts too. You said Tyler Warren or no, you said Darren Waller.
Yeah,
right?
Tyler Warren is just my favorite altogether.
Yeah. Okay. Darren Waller's like your sneaky play, and he's been involved. What about you, Raz? Where are you at?
I feel like we've touched on all the possible quarterbacks, other than nobody's really mentioned Lamar, and he's been terrible. I get it. But at home against a defense that, you already mentioned missing defensive tackle for Derrick Henry, just missing enough that I think Lamar could wake up. If there's any time that he's going to wake up, I think it's against a team that he doesn't like and he's at home. So, that's the one that I'm keeping him in my pool. So it does scare me because he has been so bad.
Yeah.
But he's aware of how bad he's been. So, that to me tells me that, there's a wake up coming soon. So it's Lamar. Running back wise, I didn't think anybody was going to mention Chase Brown. So, but I'll continue it in that I like Chase Brown more than I like T. Higgins as my second stack partner with Joe Burrow. Chase Brown's getting a ton of looks in the passing game. did so last week with Burrow back even. I just like him more than Higgins, definitely more than their tight ends in this matchup.
For sure.
Other running back that sub 1% it looks like right now, DeAndre Swift. Like missing Rome, like there could be a few more targets for Swift in the passing game. Coming off of a monster game against a defense that we thought was decent against the run, I think, with their defensive line in the Eagles. Just completely overlooked that it only takes 3 to 4%. Like he's sub 1% right now. So, and both running backs with Arizona, I mentioned they're very low owned as well. I like the Jalen Warren call. Like he's a guy I've been playing recently, just seeing enough touches. So, definitely something I'm interested there. That's probably it at the running back position. Like, if you wanted to dart throw like Blake Corum, I would not be shocked. Decent amount of carries. Kyron's been nursing injuries, so like it just feels like one of those. Blake Corum carries the ball 12 times and scores a touchdown just to upset everybody.
I did that on the draft show on Wednesday and almost got kicked off. I think Kevin almost laughed me off the show.
Really? I'll have to watch that just to see. But he's kind of the dart throw guy that I understand why nobody wants to talk about. But
yeah,
like there's the route to get there. Wide receivers, DJ Moore should not be 2.5% owned.
Yeah,
we already talked plenty about Zacchaeus. Makes a ton of sense to me. Cortland Sutton, or even Pat Bryant, like a couple of Denver guys that nobody talked about at all. Seeing Devon Vele at sub 5%, based on what he's done target-wise the last couple of weeks in a game that we expect them to have to throw more, to me just doesn't make sense. So I'm going to go there. I wanted to be all about Alec Pierce, but obviously the rain, an issue. But the one thing about Pierce more so than Pittman is that Pierce only needs 2 balls to get there. In theory, 1, but I don't think he's catching an 80-yarder, but 2 catches for 90 yards and a touchdown, I think is a route that's possible. Tight end, do I need to bring anybody up other than Elijah Higgins at sub 1%? Since that's where my flag is planted. It's just like Jawan Johnson, 5% probably should be higher. Targets going to be one of the guys that I make sure I get double-digit percentage of. Defense is defense to me, so it's just whatever.
Yeah, I agree. Last but definitely not least, Burns, where are you at here, man?
So at the quarterback position, Lamar Jackson, I think he could pop today.
Sure.
Nobody's really talking about him. That's generally when Lamar breaks it. And I'll talk about stacking partners with him. Let me just pull up the wide receivers right now so I have an accurate measurement. Okay, so Zay Flowers is under 10% owned. And Zay Flowers is usually 15 to 20% owned. So Zay Flowers is my primary stacking partner with Lamar. It's how I'm building lineups. And then I go to the tight ends from there, whether it be Flowers plus a tight end, etc. So Flowers, for what he can do, is very low owned. And then looking at the top of the range, let's see, quarterback range, stay at quarterback. Jordan Love is really low owned. He's at 5.5% right now. Baker's at 5. Tyrod's at 4. Show is at 2.9. These guys are all low owned plays that are viable in GPPs. At the running back position, It wouldn't surprise me if JT breaks the slate today. It wouldn't really surprise me one bit. He's got the prop projection of minus, I think it's at 225 now for anytime TD. And then he's got, I think it is plus 200 for 2 touchdown day today, maybe a little bit higher. So that wouldn't surprise me one bit, especially if they're calling for rain in the Jacksonville area. That just makes him that much more viable. But guy that is significantly under-owned for what he could actually produce today is Bucky Irving. Yeah, he's not under 10%, but he's very viable. And then another one for his output could be he may not be owned high enough is Quinshon Judkins today, in that really low projected game score, where it could be a defensive slugfest, but I don't see it from the Tennessee side. I see it more from the Cleveland side. And then at the wide receiver position, if you can get me Jacoby Myers at 5.5% ownership today, I'll take it all day long. It's when he is 17+% owned. I do not like him one bit. Yeah. 5,700. I'll take him. I'll all day long. Cortland Sutton is somebody that I wrote up in my cheat sheets today. I think he's a very good play today. He grades out against the scheme very well. So I like him. Michael Pittman, 5.5% ownership. I'll eat that all day long. I'll be way over that. And then you got Terry McLaurin at 12.5%. Yeah, I mean, no, that's not. He should be probably higher than that. He should probably be pushing 20%, but 12.5% for Terry McLaurin is good. So I like that a good bit. And then then John Mechie, he's coming in significantly lower owned than Adonai Mitchell. And I'll just preface this right now. It would not surprise me if John Mechie was the guy today.
I think that's going to happen, to be honest. He just had drops last week. Just drops. Like, come on, guys.
It would 100% wouldn't surprise me one bit. So moving on to the tight end position, I think we pretty much hit all these guys, but guys like Juwan Johnson have been getting it done this year, and they just need to be a part of your lineups. And then you got guys above him in salary point that are they're low owned and they could pop. And so I think they need to be a part of your player pool. And then defense is pretty much everybody's under 10% outside the Browns and the Commanders. So all the favorites I like today. So
yeah. And y'all hit on some of the ones I like too. I really like the Mechie calls, the Chase Brown calls. I think maybe the only receiver that wasn't touched on that I just like having some exposure to. I'm not going to go crazy because he's been god awful, but a guy like Jalen Waddle, and yeah, Jalen Waddle, no Sauce Gardner still from the Jets. The targets have gone down a bit. The usage has gone down a bit for Waddle, but this looks like a nice bounce back spot for him. And then I understand if JJ McCarthy and Justin Jefferson were super chalk, like if JJ was pushing 10% ownership and Jefferson was pushing 15% ownership, this would be an easy fade spot for me. But with both being under 10%, they're just guys I'm going to have exposure to, even though they've been god awful. But that's going to be it, y'all. If you have any more questions, feel free to reach out in the Discord. Link to join DFS Army and to have access to the Domination Station and the Discord is on the website once you sign up. You can use any of our promo codes, Tattoo, Burns, or Razzle for a 10% discount. But I hope you all have a great slate. It's going to be an interesting one. It's going to be a fun one. We'll be back next week. Good luck, y'all. Peace out.